Starting on the mat, we're going to step one leg forward, heel underneath your knee, so it's a small, just 90-degree at the knee. From here, we're going to lift the waist, lift your abs, tuck your pelvis under, so you can activate the back glute, and then find the stretch in the front of the hip. And then push your hips slightly forward, but focus again on the tuck of the pelvis under. The glute on the back is on, waist is lifting, and I'm going to hold this for 10 seconds. Focusing all the time about that, pulling the abs in, making sure the glute at the back is on for another 2 seconds. And then I'm going to release one more time, going into this stretch, tuck the pelvis under, squeeze your butt, lift your waist, hold it for 5 more seconds. And then constantly thinking about the front of the hip stretching, slightly push forward, and then release. We're going to add the lift of the arm, so the leg at the back is going to lift up to the ceiling. So the same stretch, I'm going to go slightly forward, tuck the pelvis under, I'm going to lift the arm, and I'm going to lean away from the hip that I'm stretching to deepen the stretch. I'm going to hold it for again 5 more seconds. Constantly thinking about the glute, kind of tucking the pelvis under. And then take your hand down, release. One more time, going back into it, take a stretch. So think more about lengthening the waist out of the hip as opposed to just going out to the side. And then come back down. From here, take your hands onto the floor on both sides of your foot. And then we're going to rock the hip back, so like you're going to sit towards the heel, get a bit of a stretch in the hamstring, and then rock your hip forward just to get a stretch in the hip. And then 4 to go, so just moving in and out. Not trying to push it too hard, you're just finding a little bit of a stretch and then coming back in. And then 3, 2, as you go back, see if you can activate your hamstring to straighten the leg. So can you pull the leg to the floor using the muscles at the back of your thigh. And then come all the way forward. Lift your chest, we're going to step the other leg forward. So again the same, 90 degree at the knee, nice and lifted waist, hips nice and square, so the front hip is not hiking, you make sure that the 2 hip bones, whoa, that's it, 2 hip bones are in line. That's it, falling over in this. Lift your waist tall, tuck your hips under, glutes, abs, push forward, lift your waist, take a stretch and then hold it for, let's do 7, 5 more seconds, and then make sure the back glute is on, so if not, squeeze your butt and then tuck the pelvis, pubic bone forward, last 2 seconds, come back out, second time. So again, you can take this leg forward, but there's a limit how far forward you can go and still can tuck the pelvis. So I prefer you to be a bit closer, but work on that pelvic tilt that we kind of comes back to the rest of the exercises. So just lifting the waist for 1 more second, come back out, back into it. Now we add the arm, so we lift the waist and you're leaning away from the hip that you're stretching. So from the side, I'm trying to stretch this corner, so I'm going up and forward, and the glute is on, and the waist is lifting. And then 5 more seconds. Take the arm down, push the hip back, 1 more time again, push the hip forward, lift your waist, and then lean out, so stretch. Think about lifting the waist out of that corner of the hip to get a bigger stretch. 5 more. And release. You're going to stay in the same position, so I come back, hands on the floor. And then push the leg, hip back to straighten the leg. See if you can activate the hamstring, so to straighten the leg, see if you can pull the thigh to the floor. Rock it forward. Number 2, so 5 of those. That's it, 3 to go. Again, activating the hamstring as I take the leg, hip back. 1 more. That's it, and then come back, step the leg back. And the last one we would do is kneeling on the mat. Again, we're going to take 1 leg out to the side. And then check that you big toe and the heel are in line. So I'm looking for kneecap pointing forward. So it's not a turnout leg, it's a leg pointing forward, which is a bit harder. From here, I'm going to see if I can sink the hip that's out. So can I get this hip to kind of sink down towards the mat a little bit, reach the opposite arm to the ceiling, and then stretch out towards the leg, sinking this hip down and try not to twist. So I'm just going out. So I'm trying to stretch like the inside of the thigh, but also stretching my waist, kind of stretching this side, and then come back to the middle one more time. Keep the foot where it is. Again, push the hip down towards the floor as you stretch. And then come back to the middle, bring this leg in, step the other leg out. Again, check that your big toe is pointing forward, kneecap forward. So you've got to work on the rotation of the thigh in. And then from here you can have your hand on the thigh, lift your arm up, rotate this thigh bone in towards the floor as you take a stretch across. Like you want to touch those toes on the floor. Down there, that's it. So stretch, 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 come out of it. Again, turn the thigh bone in as you take a stretch for the second time. See if you can lift your abs, tuck your pelvis under. So again, trying to get that lift in the front. And come back to the middle. Bring the leg in. Let's do the upper back stretch as the last one before we move on to the mat. So you're going to lie on the mat. Your hips and knees are at 90 degrees, so it's like sitting on a chair. Two hands behind your head, elbows stacked, you're kind of lying on the mat. Your shoulders and hips are in line. So we start, stack your knees and make sure the hips are stacked. So if your knees are stacked in the front, you don't have to worry about the hips. So just pay attention to what's happening with the knees. And then one to go elbow to ceiling. And then you can take and twist without shifting the knees. So the knees stay in the same place. And you're trying to open the ribs and open the chest towards the floor and then come back to the middle. Two more like this. So you can inhale to the ceiling, exhale as you stretch. Keep your knees glued together. Don't let the hips to shift and knees to shift. And then one more, arm up. And then take a stretch again back. And then from here, I'm going to straighten the bottom leg. So now my top knee is on the mat. And I'm still looking for this 90 degrees. So the knee is straight in front of the hip. Take your straight arm in front. And the same, arm to ceiling. And I'm keeping my knee on the mat as I reach back. Look towards your hand at the back. Hold it here. Inhale. Exhale. See if you can go a bit deeper. Get rid of the air. Last one. In. And exhale. See if you can reach further. Take the hand on the way forward. One more time on the side. So you've got two opportunities. The kind of first one is the reach. Find a reasonably comfortable place. Look towards the hand. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, let the ribs twist a little bit more. Knee stays on the floor. Last one, inhale. Maybe a bit deeper. Take the hand forward. Let's switch to the other side. So again, knees in front of the hips, knees are stacked in the same line, hands behind your head, starting with the elbow up to the ceiling, and then as you exhale, knees stay stacked, reaching back, and inhale forward. And again, take an exhale. Think about this as a rib cage, so as your ribs are twisting to the back. So the bottom rib goes forward, top hip goes slightly back. Inhale, middle, and then exhale, last one. The legs don't move. Straighten the bottom leg, top leg on the mat, straight arm, and then again inhale to ceiling, exhale as you reach back. Hold it for the inhale, exhale, see if you can soften more. Inhale, one more time. Take a stretch, inhale forward. One more, knee stays down on the mat, inhale ceiling, and then as you exhale, you twist your ribs. You look towards your hand, inhale, exhale for two. One more. And then come back to the middle.